This is a tutorial for my arrangement of Deep Purple. There's a playthrough at the end, and if you'd like to order it, there's a link in the description. This arrangement has a verse and a chorus. Back when this was written, the verse was a slower, freer introductory section to the main tune, which is the chorus. Of course, the verse is the intro section, so we're going to look at that first. And we're going to go into this in pretty good detail, so if you want to hear all of this in context, make sure you check out the playthrough at the end. We begin with the C major 7 using this shape, played at the 8th fret. Play the bass note on beat 1, the rest of the chord on beat 2. That highest note, that G is the melody note. That G stays the same when we move to the next chord, this B7 sharp 5, but we need to change fingers on it because of the chord. So here's our B7 sharp 5. This is at the 7th fret, and then 4th finger slides up to this G sharp, and then stays there for this B flat 7 at the 6th fret, and this is how we're playing it. And then 4th finger slides up again to this A. Now the next melody note is also an A for this A7 chord, but because of this A7 chord, we need to change to the 5th fret, and so that's what we're using for our chord for that A7. So from the beginning, pinky slides, pinky stays, pinky slides, and then we move over to the 5th fret for this chord. Next we have a D minor 7. We're using an open string here, open string D, and then this shape on beat 2. So what you want to do is keep all that ringing. 1, 2, 3. Keep all the fingers down. Just put 3rd finger down on that F sharp. And here's what the form we're using for this G13 coming up. Now we just have a G melody note for starters, but we want to keep that ringing and then play the G13 right after it. So go ahead and bar all 6 strings while you play the G. Hold that down. Here's our chord form for the G13. And use fingers 4, 3, and then 1's already down for that little echo. And that is a little echo. The G, that's the melody note, so don't get too loud on that little bit. That's just a little filler. Measure 5, we're playing this C major 7 with this shape at the 3rd fret. Play the bass note on beat 1, everything else on beat 2. Play the E again, keep everything down. 4th finger moves over, and then moving to this G7, finger 4 and finger 2 can stay the same, and finger 1 just bars now at the, or I should say all 6 strings at the 3rd fret. Now if you're barring, you already had that G melody note down with your 1st finger, and then C major 7 again at the 3rd fret, but this time we're going to bar 5 strings. It's got that little wavy line. That could mean either a finger roll or a strum. In this case, it's got to be a strum because we have 5 notes in here. B minor 7 flat 5 with this shape at the 2nd fret. Play the bass note first, everything else on beat 2, and keep everything ringing. Keep your fingers down. 4th finger kicks out to this D sharp right here, and then we have an open E, and then here's a pretty easy chord here. We keep that E ringing, and then we play. So that's the chord we eventually land on for that E7. We play the C first with 2nd finger, and then 2nd finger lets up for that B. At the end of measure 8, there's a breath mark. That's just a little pause. It's literally a breath mark if you're a singer or a wind player. That's just mean take a little pause for a breath before the next phrase. So now we're at measure 9, and what I'd like you to do is bar your 1st finger, strings 2 through 4, even though you don't need your 1st finger just yet. This 1st note is with your 3rd finger, this A, and then you're barring the C. Now keep holding the 3rd finger down just for that little brief moment. We want those 2 notes ringing. And then keeping your 1st finger down, we have fingers 2 and 4, and then lift your pinky, and you got your 1st finger down on that melody note again. And keep your 2nd finger down on that G sharp while you change notes, so those notes are ringing. Now if you're barring, then this next part is easy because let go of everything except finger 1. which bars these 3 notes at the 5th fret, and then finger 1 goes to 4th fret, and then play this little bit with fingers 1 and then finger 2 bars the other 2 notes. Then we have a little tiny F6 chord. This is finger 3, 2, and 4 down at the 1st fret, but notice also my 1st finger is down because I need that 1st finger on beat 2. And what I'd like you to do is hold all these notes down. The only finger you need to move in this measure is your pinky when you lift it off the D. All those other notes are contained in the chord. G7 sharp 5, you're going to see this chord a lot in this arrangement. This is at the 3rd fret. Fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then G sharp diminished 7 using this shape with the root now at the 4th fret with your 2nd finger. Measure 13, just as you did with measure 9, make sure 1st finger is barring. Finger 3 starts, and hold finger down while you play finger 1 at the 5th fret. And then finger 2 and 4, keep your 1st finger down though. And then we have that E, so if you're barring, you've already got that. And then we definitely need to bar here at measure 14. This is all 1st finger at the 5th fret, 4 strings, and then this A minor over F sharp like we did before, finger 1 on the F sharp, and then finger 2 can bar the others. Then a D minor 7, and we're playing this shape. It's marked in 3rd position because that's where the 1st finger is. The Roman numeral always marks the 1st finger position, not necessarily the root note position. The root note is at the 5th fret for this shape. So you have some bass notes that you'll play with finger 3 and then 2. Try to hold the rest of the D minor 7 chord down as you play your bass notes. Let them ring as long as you can. And G7 sharp 5, just as we played in measure 12. It's got a fermata over that, and then that's the end of the verse. After the G7 sharp 5 chord, we have a caesura, those 2 little diagonal slashes, and that is a longer pause. The breath mark was just a short pause. Take a breath before you get to the next phrase. Caesura is a longer, more deliberate pause. Then we have 2 pickup notes leading into measure 17, the first measure of the chorus. And those pickup notes are open G, 2nd fret A, and then measure 17, we have the C major 7 chord that we're using. This is the chord form that we're using. Finger 3, finger 2, couple open strings, and then finger 4 on that melody note. And the melody note, or the melody is, I should say, this G, and then this G, and this A, and this B flat. So there's a lot of picking involved here, but make sure you play the melody notes a little louder and do the picking a little softer. So that's what you're doing at the top there. And then G, 2nd finger on this A, and then slide finger finger 2 from the A to the B flat. We play finger 3 and 1 on those little filler notes there. The C sharp and the E are just filler notes, so they'll play those a little softer. So from the B flat, lift your 2nd finger, and you have an open G, and then G sharp. And then this is just a good old cowboy D minor. Play 1 note at a time, hold all the notes down, and let them ring as you play. 1, 2, and 3, finger 4 on this A right here. Next we have a melody note G, but we're going to play a G7 on beat 2. So go ahead and bar all 6 strings. And that's the form we're playing at the 3rd fret. So melody, the rest of the chord on beat 2, hold all that, 3rd finger on the D sharp, and then open E. And that open E, that open note allows us time to bump up here to the 8th fret for the C major 7. Technically it's a C major 9. With that D melody note added, but then it becomes a C major 7 as soon as I take it off. And so that's the shape we're using at the 8th fret. So you should be barring here because lift your pinky up, and then you have that C already barred, and this G already barred, and then open E allows you time to get back down here. This is finger 1 at the 1st fret, and then open, and 4. Slide finger 4 over, and then open. And then I didn't write a fingering here, but I like to use 1st finger on this A because it helps me get to this next A a little more easily. Hold that A while you play your bass note A on beat 2. Next we have some shell voicings. This is this B minor 7, played with this form at the 7th fret. Hold the chord, play 2 bass notes. C diminished 7, finger 2, 1, and 3. Now my root is at the 8th fret. Hold the chord, play 2 bass notes. And then our next chord, I want to keep 1st finger down, even though we're not going to play this note just right away. So this is finger 3 and 4, both at the 9th fret. Now the reason I'm keeping finger 1 down is because this little G sharp and A, that's a little easier to grab if that finger is already down, because you just kind of keep those planted, stretch out a little bit, and then grab it and slide in. And then that takes us to measure 25 through 32. At measure 25, we have a D minor 7 chord. We're using this shape at the 5th fret. Now we don't need 2nd finger down just yet, but we do need 2nd finger down on beat 4. So I just have the chord formed. So finger 2 is all ready to go. Play the bass note first. Everything else is on beat 2, including finger 4 here on the G. Finger 4 slides. Notice I'm keeping the rest of the chord down. And then 2nd finger is already down because that's the chord I'm holding. And then some slidey stuff here, finger 1 and 2. So the first, or those 2 8th notes, we've got a slide there, and then that 3rd chord is picked. And then while you're playing that, I should say while you're holding that, play this F with your 3rd finger, and then slide up to the G with 3rd finger, slide down to the E with 3rd finger. I'm going to go to this F minor 6, and just for the counting, we have 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1. And now we've landed on the root for this E minor 7 shell voicing. This is finger, well, 1st finger is at the 5th fret, 3rd finger is on the root at the 7th fret. We have finger 3, 1, and 4. I would also like you to bar with your 1st finger because we need our 1st finger down on the C on beat 4 here. Play the bass note first, everything else on beat 2. Hold everything down, move to finger 2 here, and if you're barring, you already have your 1st finger down on that C. More slidey stuff here. We're not actually literally going to slide. Going to pick each one of these, but you're just moving fingers 1 and 2 down fret by fret until you're at the 1st fret there. And then we have a couple notes we're going to play with our 3rd finger, the C, C sharp, and then an open D. Counting there is from the E flat diminished is 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1. That's the beginning of measure 29. Measure 29 is a little tricky because we have this open D, have this 1st finger on this F on beat 2. Our melody note is in the middle. Now normally the melody is the highest or lowest note. In this case, what you want to try to do is hold your 1st finger down and keep that note ringing while you're moving the melody. So you're going to play melody with finger 2, squish finger 2 over, keeping 1st finger down, and then an open string. And then G7 chord here. Now we only have 2 notes at the start of this measure. However, this is part of a bigger chord. So bar here, and then play just these 2 notes of the G7 at the 3rd fret, and then on beat 2, play the rest of the notes. 1, 2, hold those down, finger 3, and then finger 4, C major 7 with this shape at the 3rd fret, hold the chord, play 2 bass notes, A7 sharp 5, this form at the 5th fret. Hold the chord, 2 bass notes. D9, playing this shape. Now the root is on the 5th fret. The position, the Roman numeral, can't think of my words today, the Roman numeral is Roman numeral 4, because first finger is at the 4th fret. So finger 2, 1, 3, and 4. And again, hold the chord, play 2 bass notes. And then G7 sharp 5 as we played before at the 3rd fret. And then we have a breath mark. In other words, another little short pause as if you're a singer or wind instrument player taking your breath before the next phrase. And then we have 2 pickup 8th notes into measure 33. So G, A, open and fret 2. And then measure 33, we got a single note, but right after that we're playing a C major 7 chord. So bar while you play the G, and prepare this C major 7. And that is supposed to be a little softer. The melody note is this G. The chords are just accompaniment, so play those a little softer. Those come after beat 1. 1 and 2 and then open. Finger 2 here. Slide finger 2 for the melody note B flat. And hold the B flat down while you play those little filler notes there with fingers 1 and 3. So it's 1 and 2 and then open. First finger on this G sharp. Here's a regular old cowboy D minor again. Hold every note as you play it. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And that is a slide there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So use finger 4 for that. You could use another finger if you want, but that's what I have marked. Then we have a G melody note, but again, we're going to play the chord right after. So bar all 6 strings and prep this G7 chord as you play the G melody note. So we're playing 1 and 2. Melody notes on beat 1, bass on the and to beat 1, the other 2 notes of the chord on beat 2. 1 and 2. Hold that down, finger 3 on the D sharp, and then an open E. That allows us time to get up here for this little move. So what we have here at measure 37, finger 1 is barring 2 strings, finger 2 is barring 2 strings. And I'm just guiding myself by the highest note in each of these forms. So I'm just thinking my highest note here with my second finger is a D at the 10th fret. Now I move the exact same fingers over 2 frets for this. So the highest note is on the C. Same fingering here. Highest notes on the G at the 3rd fret. Then C major 7, pretty easy chord here. 3rd finger on the C. Everything else is open. And then finger 1 is at the 1st fret here for this little shape. Finger 1 open and 4. Slide finger 4 and then open. And I like to use 1st finger on this A so I can get to this A a little more smoothly. Here you do a little pinch motion. You play the A and the lower A at the same time. Play 2 bass note A's. Some shell voicings, which we've seen before. B minor 7 with this shape at the 7th fret. Hold the chord, 2 bass notes. C diminished 7. Now the root is at the 8th fret with this form. 2 bass notes. And hold 1st finger down. 1st finger stays the same, moving to this next bit. You just move fingers 3 and 4 into place. And that takes us to pick up to measure 41 through the end. So the chord right before those pickup notes, finger 3, 1, and 4. Finger 3 is at the 9th fret here. From there, finger 1 with these pickups slides down 1 fret for the G sharp and then slides back for the A. And then measure 41, we use this form in measure 25, this D minor 7. We're at the 5th fret. Now we don't need finger 2 just yet, but as we did before, I'm keeping finger 2 down so it's ready to go at the end. We play 1 or 2 notes at a time, 1 and 2. So on beat 1, play the root. On beat 2, the next string. And on beat, I should say on the end of 1, we play the next note. On beat 2, we play the rest of this, including this 4th finger. Finger 4 slides, and finger 2 should already be down. Here we have some more slidey stuff, just as we did in measure 26. And as we did in measure 26, these 2 slide, and the 3rd one we pick, and hold fingers 1 and 2 down while you play those couple Fs, and then slide finger 3 from the D to the D sharp to the E. And I'm going to go from this F minor 6 in measure 42 for the counting now. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and a 1. And here we land on this E minor 7 shell voicing again. Same chord as we did before, finger 3, 1, and 4. And I'm also, as we did in measure 27, I'm barring first finger, so it's ready for the C at the end. So we play just one note at a time, 1 and 2, and then finger 2, and finger 1's already down. E flat diminished 7. It's not really E flat diminished 7 until we get to the 3rd chord in this measure, but they're all fingered the same. Finger 2, 1, and 3. Finger 3 is up here at the 7th fret. And again, these are all you're doing is moving that shape down fret by fret. 1 and 2 and 3. Hold that last one, if you can, while you play this E flat with your 4th finger, and then measure 45, open D, and then on beat 2, you have another little slidey thing. We're going to play first finger barring strings 1 through 3 at the 5th fret, and then 4th fret, 3rd fret. So you just move that bar down. G7, here's our form at the 3rd fret. Hold that down, 3rd finger on the D sharp, open E, and then a C6 chord with this shape. So first finger's at the 1st fret, pinky's on the root, so finger 4, 2, 3, and 1. It's got a little wavy line by it, which means we can either do a finger roll, or if you like, you can do a little strum. Whoops. Now if you strum, make sure you strum only through the 2nd string.